We've got a developing story out of Hong Kong. Once again this morning, hundreds of protesters are rallying in the central terminal at Hong Kong International Airport. Want to get over to Eunice, who joins us now with the latest. Eunice.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Well, those protesters have crowded into the arrival halls at the airport, and they're handing out anti-government leaflets in order to try to raise awareness of some of their concerns to the visitors to the city. Now, this sit-in is expected to last until Sunday, and it's just one of what's been a series of protests around the city, and which have started in June and eventually first started as a march against an extradition bill, but then they morphed into what's become a pro-democracy and anti-Beijing demonstrations. Now, these moments ago, the Hong Kong leader, Carrie Lam, called for calm. She held a press briefing. She showed no willingness to make concessions to the protesters and warned that the downward economic pressure was like a, quote, tsunami. Her financial secretary says that the chances of a further slowdown there is high. And the problems in Hong Kong are now filtering into what's become an already tense relationship between the U.S. and China. In Beijing, the government here has been characterizing the protests as organized by foreign powers, and in particular by an American diplomat in Hong Kong. In fact, state TV has described this political officer who ended up meeting with one of the opposition leaders as a black hand creating chaos in Hong Kong. A pro-Beijing Hong Kong newspaper has also described her as a low-profile expert on subversion and published photos and personal details of her and her family. The State Department ended up slamming that decision and calling China a thuggish regime for releasing that information. And today, the Foreign Ministry's Hong Kong office had a response for the State Department saying that the blatant slander against China has exposed the U.S.'s, quote, gangster logic and hegemonic thinking. So on top of the trade conflict and Huawei, this Hong Kong issue is now weighing on the U.S.-China relationship. So separate to that, we had more data out of China on inflation, which showed that deflation fears are starting to return here. Producer prices contracted for the first time in 3 years. The CPI was pushed higher, a lot of that because of food, in particular vegetables as well as pork. China has been battling with the bout of African swine fever, and also some of the manufacturers have been concerned because of the weak demand brought on by the trade war and slashing prices. Guys?
All right, Eunice, thank you. Eunice Yoon in Beijing for us.